Joseph Crudup here. Welcome to my storybook. Today, the part 8 in this book called Dog Whisper, The Rescue. Yesterday, I have read chapter 13 and chapter 14 in this book. Now, today, on part 8 in this series, The Rescue, I'll be reading chapter 15 and chapter 16 in this book. Chapter 15. She must have been more tired than she realized because she slept through lunch and then most of the afternoon. Her mother had obviously decided that she needed the extra rest because she didn't wake her up until right before supper. But she must have come in at some point early because Emily was surprised to find herself covered with an old quilt with the old crib her great aunt had made out of leftover prices pieces of colorful meltoy. They all seemed so peaceful that I didn't have the heart to wake you up, her mother said, but it looked so unfortunate. And Lil, maybe next time she would have to see if Zach maybe felt strong enough to get up on the couch or something. Cow, yeah, Emily said, and yawned as she sat up. What time is it? Almost 5:30, her mother said. We didn't feel like cooking, so your father went to get some food takeout. He should be back in time any minute now. It's so nice out that we're going to eat on the deck. Emily nodded, patting Zach and Josephine, who were also yawning, and then went upstairs to get Ross up. Zach wanted penalty for her at the bottom of the steps, looking very relieved when she returned. Her father came home with Mexican food, which was genuinely a good choice, because there were so many different vegetarian options. Even if the food itself wasn't necessarily all that acclimated, then the Indian food also worked out pretty well most of the time. They almost never ordered Chinese food because her father always said there was no such thing as this Chinese food in Maine. Emily was pretty sure that her mother felt the exact same way about all Mexican restaurants that wasn't in California or Mexico itself. But other than connection, occasionally motor, the plate is very hot. Comment. She wasn't inclined to go on and on about it, the way Emily's father did. Although Emily had noticed that relatives actually did always say that right before serving the food at really bad Mexican restaurants. Lobster's houses and fish restaurants were usually a problem because they might have one chicken dish or a hamburger on the menu, and so the only thing Emily could order would be salad and bread. As they sat out on the deck, they could see sailboats gliding home for the night, and Buccaneer Motors boats and Lobster's boats putting it along. Seagarland, Seagarlands, as always, swarming around the Lobster boats, looking for food. The food cake cats went by, too, one of the men waving at them since he was in her mother's racing club. They even saw a counter with two people paddling effectively in a boat in a storm. Did you go out today? Emily asked her mother. Her mother nodded, helping herself to some garden wall and adding a book titled Cloud Power and tzatziki sauces to it. For about an hour, I felt a little rusty. With all of the time they had spent at the animal hospital for the past week, her mother had skipped quite a few of her regular training sessions. Tomorrow, I'm going to go out early, her mother said, and many of those awful tourists ghosted towards the water. When it's nice and quiet, it won't be quiet until after Labor Day. Her father said in a gloomy when we the tourists ever leave for us. Emily Greenman, since her parents said some version of those remarks every single day during the summer, just the way everyone else in Maine did. Zach was lying next to her feet, and she cut off a piece of cheese in Carolina to see if he would like it. Hold it right there, her father said instantly. Are you going to make a habit of sneaking him food under the table? Emily paused, her hand in midair. Zach's ears going up as the scent of cheese caught his attention. I'm not sneaking anything, Dad, she said. I'm doing it right in front of you. Oh, he forwarded. Well, okay, that's true, but it wasn't really my point. She could not get it to that. After he had already zeroed in on the piece of food, I'm not going to make him all rude and begging me, but he's had a hard time. He should get treats. Lots of them. In fact, her mother forwarded too. All right, but if he starts behaving badly at meals, we're going to say, I told you so. Coming from her mother, that was pretty famous, even though it was kind of harmless as threats went. Emily wanted to pretend to shoulder and say, ow. But that was the serious response that might actually make her parents mad, and she usually tried to avoid that, if possible. Okay, she said instead. That sounds scary, as it was meant to, her mother said, and nodded once for increase. They caught her giving Zach food two more times during the meal, but they couldn't really criticize her for it, because her mother had also accessed it immediately, handing him a corn chip at one point. After dinner, Emily took Zach for the careful walk around the yard, watching to make sure that his breathing was smooth and easy. Then her mother, surprising that she gave him his evening antibiotics and other medications, including the special vitamin Dr. Kasanowski prescribed it. She had thought it might have been hard to get him his medicine, but Zach would wag his tail the whole time, especially if she put the pills in a little piece of cheese or something first. Then she went out to get her laptop and bring it down to the den. When Zach wanted at the bottom of the stairs so that she could check her email and maybe even call a couple of her friends, she had been so tired all week whenever they got home from the vets that she felt like she hadn't spoke to anyone down in months, and it was strange to be so out of touch. She had three different main groups of friends who didn't really overlap. First, there were all of her friends from her elementary school. Bobby was her best friend from school, since she had known him for a long, and they hung out on Saturday on consistently. But her other closest school friends were Helen and Florence. Harriet was really smart and was totally into science and math. And Florence was tiny, but played just about every single spot in the world, and played them incredibly excellently too. She was especially good at hockey and downhill skiing. Her second group of friends were all the kids she knew who parents thought her parents taught at the college. Most of them lived in Brunswick or Bath and went to different schools. But there was so much social stuff through the college that Emily had gotten to know them at her swimming lessons and museum events and department parties and stuff like that. Her very best friend was Karen. Her father was a music professor, while her mother was a printer. Karen loved music too and could play the piano, the piano, the saxophone, and the flute. Sometimes Emily Carroll wished that she and her parents had a house right in town near the college because there because there were because there was always so much more going on there. It wasn't that they lived that far away, but sometimes it felt far because they had to drive to get anywhere. Then again, it was pretty hard to complain about living right on the water. It just happened that whole neighborhood was almost all retired people or summer houses. If it wasn't for Bobby and his sister and brother, it would have been the only person under 40 on the south section of the peninsula. Her third group of friends was, well, everyone us. Her father was Jewish, but he really didn't practice anymore. So they went to the Ezekiel church because her mother liked it. Because of that, she had friends from Sunday school. She also had friends from Sunday camps. She had going she had gone to over the years. Art camp, sailing camp, national camp, and computer camp. She didn't get to see them as much as she saw her other friends, but they spent a lot of time online and emailed and IM'd each other and all. Her cousins, she had five live in New York and California, and they all stay in touch online too. It had been kind of funny about 6 months early when her parents had asked her if she would go if she would ever go any, anywhere near a social networking site. Apparently, assuming that the answer will be no, of course not. Never in a million years. They have been pretty horrible when she told them she had profiles on two different sites. She was stupid about being online, so her profiles were set to private, and only her actual friends could see them. And if a stranger wanted to friend her, she always just designed the invitational. Her parents had insisted upon checking this for themselves, and they had all ended up having a pretty big argument because Emily thought that was a total invasion of privacy. It wasn't like she and her friends were doing anything bad, but she still didn't particularly want to hear her parents reading over her shoulder. And particularly particularly when she saw someone posting this on her wall, her mother did comment on their grandma publication and abilities not seem to realize that one of the reasons that she and her friends use stuff like RBA, BRB, and OMG, and LOL was just to alien adults. Her father had set up some compiling protection control software on her computer, but then he had gotten confused about how to make it work, and Emily had to show him how to configure it, and which they had both agreed. Khan defeated the proposal of the software engineer, so they all so they uninstalling it. Their final compromise was that she had relaunched her friendship, friending one of her aunts, who was now she and Shura keeping an eye on her, although mostly they just sent each other funny videos and stuff. Her parents were always saying that nothing online was pretty private, even if it seems that way, and that she had to be very, very careful to make them happy. Emily had promised never to post on email anything that might keep her from getting into college or running for any important politics office, even though she wasn't completely sure exactly what would fall into that category. So anyway, she spread it out on the floor and the den and answered emails and chatting with her friends for a while until her father came in to see if she wanted to watch a movie. Her mother made popcorn and lemonade, and they all sat together on the couch while Zach slept in the cardboard bed. Pretty nice day, her father remarked as the movie started. Emily nodded. It had been a great day. Chapter 16. Her mother had said that she absolutely couldn't sleep on the floor all night and made up the couch for her. But it was too high for Zach to climb up, so they wore that on a sleeping bag. Instead, the floor was kind of hard, but Emily was tired and had no trouble at all falling asleep. After lunch the next day, Bobby rolled his bike over so that he could meet Zach. But Bubba agreed that they could take him for a real walk and not just around the yard, as long as they promised not to go too far. Let's walk up to Miss Griswold's house, Bobby suggested. Bobby always wanted to walk by Miss Griswold's house because he thought it was funny when she came out and yelled at them. Why make her mad if we don't have to? Emily asked. Bobby's sure she might not even see us. Besides, we live here too. We live here too, so we can walk in wherever we want. Emily still didn't think it was such a hot idea, but they wandered up the dark road in that direction. It was pretty hot out and humid enough so that they walked slowly. You had done any of the summer reading? Have you done any of the summer reading? Emily asked. Bobby shook his head. Are you going to? Emily asked. Bobby thought about that and then shook his head. No, or I don't know, maybe just one on town. Besides, they all looked wicked boring. His parents were a lot less strict than hers because she had already read six of the books of the list and had promised to finish at least four more before the first day of school. Bobby always said that it didn't matter because the only thing he wanted to do when he grew up was to work on his father's boat. But Emily had always suspected that he probably liked school a lot more than he wanted to admit. They were a few hundred yards away from the house, where the dog certainly seemed to be worn out. It was feebly his hip much more than he had been, and his tail was wriggling instead of waving. He was also starting to paint. I don't think he was ready yet, Emily said, feeling guilty. We better take him home right now way. Bobby nodded. Do we carry him? Not likely. Even Melazarus. He was a big dog. Emily shook her head. I think he's too heavy, and we might hurt him by accident. Maybe if we just rest hell for a while and then go back. Bobby nodded, and they sat down on the shoulder on the and they sat down on the shoulder of the road. Naturally, they were almost exactly across from Miss Griswold's house, which was a regular cottage with gray shingles and a big front porch. But until Zach felt better, they didn't have much choice. Zach lay down next to Emily, resting his muzzles on her leg, and he must have been really tired because he fell asleep immediately. Emily Dodson towards the house with her chain. What are we going to do if she comes out? Since normally they just went away. Don't know, Bobby said, and paused. It's probably not true that she keeps a really big gun by the door. Probably. Emily looked at him uneasy. Who is that? Who said that? Bobby Shangler. Larry. Larry was his big brother, who had just turned 17. She said she fired at she said she fired at him one time, and there was all this black shot everywhere, and he could have died. With all the scary things people said about Miss Griswold, Griswold, she could believe it, except that Larry always told Bobby completely exaggerated stories, and Bobby was girly enough to believe every word. I don't think she has a gun, Emily said. Although lots of people mean their own guns mostly for hunting, so she might really have one. And even and even if she does, she wouldn't shoot it at us. Or anyway, she hoped not. Bobby looked uneasy across the road at the house, which was surrounded by a 3 foot high white wooden fence. I think she would, and she totally hates dogs, even more than she hates kids. That partly was true because Emily had heard that she always called the police with a with a Nick with a Nicholson's Jack Russell Taylor, whose name was Wanda, barking too much. So wait, she said, why did we wake up this way again? Because it seems like it would be really funny, Bobby said. Emily nodded. Oh, okay. Good idea. They sat there, looking at the quiet house. You know she killed her son. You know she killed her husband, Bobby said. No, she knew that was the rumor around town. Emily shook her head. My parents said it was a car accident, and she was pretty sure that it was true. Maybe. Bobby said Amolius. Then that's person, Brian. Hey, I know what to do. What about your wagon? Is it still in the garage? They haven't used the wagon for years. But since her parents tricked Timberland to let things pile up in there, she was pretty sure it was something among the content cuddling. That's a good idea, Emily said. Then we could just put him home, okay? Bobby got up with dirt all over his jeans. None of us had brushed off. I'll go get it. Thanks. Emily said, although it was a little creepy to think of sitting in front of Miss Griswold's house all by herself, even though she wasn't a mortal. Probably, Bobby nodded and started jogging it down the road. While she and Zach went, Emily rested a shooting hand on his back. I'm sorry. I didn't know you would get so tired, she said. I'll be more careful next time. Zach waggled his tail, Ralph opened his eyes, and she hoped that he understood. And she hoped that that he understood what she had said. He always seemed really smart, though she had assured that, at the very least, he knew that she was apologizing. But the truth was, if she were being completely honest with herself, she would admit that whatever that was, it went beyond being smart. Too often, it felt as though he could be her mind, really read her mind, and that she could read his. She wasn't doing it on purpose, and the whole idea was so unsettling, but it just seemed to happen over and over. And now it was maybe happening again because he had opened his eyes and was looking at her ultimately. Unless it was her imagination. Yeah, it had to be her imagination. Nothing else made sense. I mean, they say dogs know stuff, she said to him, like when their owners are coming home and everything. Dogs just figure it out. So I'm sure it's just normally intelligence, right? Zach quacking his head to one side, looking directly at her. She had seen a cartoon once when the dogs seemed to be listening but just heard gobblers accepting whatever the person said in the dog's name. So maybe people just thought dogs knew more than they really did. Like it was just, well, she couldn't remember the word for it, but she knew there was a word. Or maybe dogs like know almost everything. But because they couldn't speak, there was no way of proving it. She never really had that same feeling with Josephine. But cats were different and probably cared more about keeping their privacy. Josephine did. Anyway, as far as Emily could tell, her cat liked to be mysterious and sly, and going out on her way to startle people, just for the fun of it. That very morning, the father had been making comments. Oatmeals. Look, as well as a cheese, onions, and mushroom, one for her. And when he offered him a bill of cabinet to that, Emily had herself saying, no, he doesn't like fish. Her father had slugged it and given him a piece of cheese instead, but Emily just sat there and wondered why she had been so utterly sure that that was true. Her parents was distracted and didn't know it, but she probably good, which was probably good because she had no idea how she would explain it. Bobby was still nowhere in sight, and she glanced down at Zach. Do you like fish? She asked. To eat? I mean, Zach didn't move, but she would have sworn that she caught a powerful whiff of well watching fish. It smelled so the way at the boat smelling. After the fishermen and women unloading their cats, and before they hosing everything down, it was sort of like the time she had thought she was smelling a strong floor cleaner, but it turned out to be what the medicine in the numbers or in the back room at the animal hospital smelled like instead. Okay, double on course of the abilities, something going on here. The fact that she wasn't quite sure what it was didn't mean that. Just then, she saw a curtain move in the front room window, and then the door of the gray house flew open. Miss Gosroy was coming outside. Now I have read chapter 15 and chapter 16 in this book. Tomorrow I will be reading chapter 17 and chapter 18 in this book called Dog Whisper, The Rescue. Until then, take care of yourself. God bless, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.